Good morning, everyone. So glad you're joining us here on CCN Sunrise today. And we have a great show, I suspect, as always. First in the morning buzz, we have the ban over the travel and the battle that's going on with that, with
Right.
Trump and
immigration.
Exactly. And then we also have John Woods. He'll be on to talk with us about that. And we also have the Crown City Network is getting bigger and better. And joining us will be Tammy Devine to talk about that.
Right.
So we're looking forward to hearing more about how you can even put a show on our program.
Yeah, we're excited about that. And Ryan Berger with Nurse Next Door makes the case for why you ought to choose them to help care for your elderly loved one. And we've moved CCNer Jordan Udley over into entertainment. He'll entertain us by trying out the crazy hot Carolina Reaper. Don't worry, we have EMTs standing by.
And before we go any further, we'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors and our advertisers.
Foothill Transit, San Gabriel Valley Economic Partnership, Pasadena Federal Credit Union, EH Financial, Ganal Lumber, Siren Arts Productions. Thank you for your support.
We love our sponsors like San Gabriel Valley Economic Partnership. Visit them at sgvpartnership.org. Now for the morning buzz. The nation has been divided over Trump's travel ban. Protests have taken place all over the country.
Yeah, the president's immigration order on executive order has gotten tied up in the courts. Political activist John Wood joins us now on the discussion. How do you feel about the Ninth Circuit's ruling?
Well, I think that you can look at it in a few different ways. Now, as to the basic question as to whether or not the executive order is constitutional, I tend to think that it probably is. Now, the court ruled that they had the authority to nullify the order on the basis of the fact that they basically just didn't think that it was going to work. Now, I'm not really certain. I'm not a litigator myself, but I'm not really certain that when it comes to adjudicating whether or not the commander-in-chief has the authority to make decisions in the interest of national security, that it's really the place of the court to say, well, we're going to step in front of your decision because we don't think it's going to work. Having said that, I'm not sure I don't necessarily disagree with the court that I think that it's going to be ultimately ineffective and counterproductive. And, there are a couple of reasons for that. Now, the ban is sort of strange in the way it's been constructed. So we were preventing people from, Muslims particularly, from 7 nations from coming into the United States of America. Thus far, we have not had a terrorist attack from a single refugee in the United States. We've had attacks from other individuals who were inspired by ISIS. We've had attacks from Saudi Arabian nationals.
I think they've said that they can actually prove that there have been instances in each of those countries. I don't know how far back.
Well, now, of course, you want to differentiate. It's not to say that there may not have been such attacks in Europe, and it's not to say that there won't be attacks in the future. Look, the concern of the Trump administration and of Americans in general is certainly justified. I'm not saying it's not.
Do you think it was too broad a blanket as far as not describing or adding
it was both.
Excluding certain groups like our people with green cards and visas? Or
Well, that part of it, absolutely. Yeah. One of the other major problems has just been the rollout of this order. So it wound up roping in people with visas. There never should have been any confusion as to whether or not these individuals were going to be subjected to increased scrutiny or restrictions on their travel. If there's not an imminent threat suggesting that refugees are going to launch terrorist attacks in the United States of America, it's still something we need to be concerned about, but we also need to think about it in the context of international relations, in the context of the political situation here at home.
So do you think the whole situation with Australia was kind of a flop, or we did have some kickback from that? I mean, they're considered a friendly country.
Not just from Australia, but from Yemen, who we have an important security relationship with a number of different nations. Look, I think that the broader issue with President Trump is the fact that he set a tone well before enacting this executive order, which basically pitted people in different camps against each other to the extent to where, even though I think that we're largely overreacting to this measure, because it's not as if Barack Obama...
Let me ask you a question. Do you think, though, what do you think the president's reaction is going to be to the Ninth Circuit? Do you think he's going to go to court, to the Supreme Court, or do you think he'll go back to the full Ninth Circuit?
Well, I mean, I think that President Trump is going to do whatever seems most efficacious for him to try to do, and I think that'll probably mean taking it to the Supreme Court. Now, he might rework the executive order and see if he can get it to pass appeal or get it to pass on the 9th. But
Do you think he will, though? Do you think that is something? It doesn't seem like he usually likes to go back.
Well, that was
and
exactly going
take
to be
things
my
away.
point. It's not really in his personality.
You'd have to
too
admit he
much
was
to-
wrong in the first place.
Well, I mean, look, Donald Trump is willing to commit to a strategic retreat in certain cases. I mean, he will settle, right? He's settled a number of cases as a businessman without ever admitting guilt. So, you know, he could go in either direction, but I think that his desire is going to be to try and prove to the American people that he can win on the merits of his original decision on the highest level. Might be right or wrong or that, but either way it goes. There's plenty of reason to feel that the court, both the Court of Appeals and the District Court, overstepped the bounds in terms of their ruling, but there's also plenty of legitimate room to be critical of the executive order to begin with.
It's temporary, too. It's not. It's
But
not
the
a
actual,
lifeline.
they were only, as I understand it, the Ninth Circuit at this point was only ruling on whether or not the ban should stay in place. They haven't actually looked at the case on its merits. That wasn't the purview of their decision, was it?
Well, what they did was they ruled largely on the basis of whether or not the ban was going to achieve what it set out to achieve. Right. And they said in the context of their ruling that they understood that we're in the very earliest stages of the implementation of this and that all the evidence wasn't in, which is one more reason why a person might think that they were premature in rendering that verdict. But even so, like I said, there's plenty of reasons to be critical of the substance of the ban itself, and I think we're in a dangerous position to where it seems like there's a lot of overreaction on all sides to some of the things going on, both with respect to the court verdicts and to the substance of the executive.
Well, we'll have to see which
reconvene.
direction he goes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So thank you, John. Will you come back and join us for another Morning Buzz?
Happy to see you anytime.
Thanks so
Great.
much.
Thank you
Good.
so much. Coming up, Crown City Network is all about you. So find out how you can have your own show on our network.
Our network's president and CEO, Tammy Devine, joins us to talk about it next.
Retirement's getting closer and closer, but admit it, you're still putting off the planning, right? EH Financial can help you plan ahead to sustain your golden years. Our wealth management and financial planning services are growing in the San Gabriel Valley. And because everyone's situation is different, we'll come up with an investment, estate, or tax plan that works for you. Stop procrastinating. Call us today or visit our website, ehfinancial.com. Don't worry, we'll be there for you every step of the way.